Hey everybody, it's Haley. So first and foremost, I apologize. I don't know what happened with the Iridescent Necromancer. When I uploaded it, like half of the audio just like disappeared into the ether. So we're going to do a redo. I hope that you'll forgive me and give me a second chance. So we're actually going to recreate start to finish. So I'm going to include my complexion routine in this guy here. First and foremost, as usual, I'm going to start with the eyes. For those of you that have, if you haven't tried it, use the Kat Von D, the Lock It Concealer Creme for, like I like to use that as my eye primer. And fun fact, I guess it was like it's actually designed to be like a primer for your shadow as well as a concealer, which I think is super duper cool. Because as much as I love like dedicated products that are really good at what they do, I love double duty products too. So I'm literally, just like last night, gonna put this all over my lids. And for those of you that have never seen me give my spiel before, I prefer to always start with the eyes, just because, like, regardless of what shadow you're using, there's like a solid chance that you're going to get a lot of fallout. And while for some looks I really like that, for the most part, I want it all to be like blended, and I want my shadow to be where shadow is supposed to be, and I want my color to be where I want my color to be. So going in with Doom from the Pastel Goth palette, it's a really pretty, like, true, like, it's almost like a sky blue. It's not like a royal blue like you would get like from the Crayola box, but it is like very vivid. It's very it's a very saturated, vibrant color, which I think is super fun. And we're just packing that bad boy onto the center of the lid. So, this look, I know, like, I talked about it a little at the beginning of my video before, but I just want to say, like, this look is specifically for someone. I had reached out on Facebook to some of my friends, because I have a lot of friends that are into, like, makeup, and I have a lot of spooky friends, too, because that's me, and I surround myself with spooky people. And one of my friends from 8th grade, Tranifer, like probably the friend I've had for the longest time, she had said Iridescent Necromancer, and I was like, heck yes, because when I was in school, like I didn't have cool friends. I wasn't that kid. Just wasn't. I was always spooky. So I'm actually really excited, and she was really pleased with like the look the first time around, so I really want to do this tutorial justice, which is why I am redoing it. So now on the outside of the lid, I'm going to take Doom, which is, an equally saturated, nice, just true green color. Also from Pastel Goth, for those curious. So if you do have this palette and you really haven't played with it a ton, I definitely recommend, like, as much as I love to do, like, one color, so, maybe taking the purple color, Dope, and, using the white that's in their skull as, like, my brown bone color, and then just using, Dope for a lid color, and then contouring it out a little bit in the crease with, like, the pretty gray dagger. Like, that can be really fun too, but I will say, like, blended out, the other colors, like, really are fun together. So, and I am going to take Skull, because it's pretty much my go-to brow bone color. I have, as you can see, very pale skin, so I, really have to use, like, a lighter color for my highlight, otherwise it just, like, blends into my skin, and I don't want to do that. I'm just going to blend that all together, and I'm going to use that in the very inner corner as well. I am going to pack on some holographic colors as well over all of this, but just to get like the base done, this is what we're running with. And literally just all the blending. All the blending with nice circular motions. So finally, for this part of it anyway, I am going to take one of my Shade and Light palettes. Oh, by the way, the Mango Black Tea Lemonade from Starbucks is bomb.com. In case you were wondering, what you should have for a nice summery drink this year. So, from the Shade and Light palette, we are going to go in with this, like, just true matte black. This is Shaq's. And this is, there are two different Shade and Light palettes. There's an eye palette, and then, like, an eye contour, and then there is, like, just a regular, like, face contour palette. I have them both because I have a problem. But it's fine, guys. I don't need a makeup / Kat Von D intervention. Like, I may die broke, but I'll die with a lot of makeup very happy. Let's just say that. So I'm really just gonna pack that black in there. Because as much as I love, like, these dark, vivid, pigmented, colored shadows, I really want this to be, like, I just want to raise the dead, an army of undead zombie minions. I think that would be super fun. Because, why not? You only get to live once, right? I don't know, that's what the kids say. And I'm just going to blend that out with some more of that skull color from Pastel Goth. And again, and I'm going to say this in literally every tutorial that I use Pastel Goth, that particular palette is not available anymore. I am sorry. It was limited edition. There's, like, it's tragic. Guys, it's tragic because it's such a nice palette. But unfortunately, it is what it is. You can't get it anymore. But there are similar shadows out there. The Full Spectrum palette from Urban Decay has a lot of very similar shades. I will grant you that a lot of them are shimmery rather than matte. But, I mean, they're still really, really well pigmented. The payoff is outstanding. So don't think just because you can't get, like, exactly whatever product it is, whether it's like foundation, concealer, a palette, whatever it is, if you can't get exactly what somebody uses in their, any given tutorial, don't think that you can't recreate a look if you really, really like it, because it's just, like, don't sell yourself short. You can find similar products. So the primer that we're using, just this Mask Box Photo Finish. I just think this one works pretty well for most skin types. But I would say if you're more oily, you're going to want something that's oil controlling. And by the same token, if you have a lot of redness, you'll want to get, like, a green-based primer to offset that, etc., etc. So I'm just first I'm going to go in, now that we've, put our primer on, I'm going in with my Kat Von D Lock It Liquid Foundation. I'm light 44 cool because I'm about as light as it gets. And we're just going to pop this baby all over. So for shadows, I mainly will use, like, fluffy brushes, just because, like, you really can, with the right brush, you can pack it on and blend it at the same time. And efficacy is important to me. But with my foundation, I really like to use a brush that is pretty dense, but has a little bit softer bristles. So for me, my go-to is usually the 56 from Sephora collection. Today I'm using the mini because this is what was clean and nearby. Which, by the way, if you have a Sephora rewards card and you've never made, like, VIB or VIB Rouge, I think it's worth, like, looking at how close you got, just because, like, Rouge every year gets really cool gifts. Like, last year it was, like, a Marc Jacobs gift. It was a lipstick that was exclusive to people who were VIB Rouge, so you got it as, like, a little welcome gift. This year it was this brush, which I'm super amped about because I love it. And when you're applying your foundation, one of the things to, like, bear in mind, even if you are not a guy, everybody has, like, tiny little hairs on their face.
So, like, blend how you want to blend, but I try to use, like, at the very least when I'm buffing, I try to use downward, little downward motions, just because if you don't, those hairs have a tendency to stand up and be more noticeable. And I don't think, like, peach fuzz face is what most people are going for. If you are, good on you, but I don't like it, so. And blending is your friend. Always, always your friend. Blending is your literal BFF. Because even, like, this is not a remotely, like, natural shadow look, but I still want everybody, you're the teacher on the playground of makeup. Everybody has to play nice. And blending is how you make them play nice. So, now that that's done, I want more coverage, and I also want to lighten my complexion a smidge. So I am going to go in with a second layer of foundation. I'm going to use my Lock-It Powder Foundation. It does come with like a little spoof, but I'm going to use a brush. I have no idea what brush this is. I've had it forever. I'm pretty sure it's like a 55 from the Sephora collection, because I'm addicted to the 55s and the 56s. I think they're two of the best brushes out there. Super versatile. I feel like you can use them for almost anything. Like for lighter coverage foundation, the 55 is like amazing. But anywho, this powder is in light 42. So it's just a little bit lighter than the 44 that I just used. And this is just going to give me a little bit more coverage. Normally I don't layer powder foundation over a liquid. And that being said, I am still going to set this with a powder, just because like powder foundation and setting powder are two totally different formulations. They're not, like, they're just not the same thing. Like something like this is going to have a little bit more like silicone in it, so it's not going to like dry it down and mattify the way that a setting powder is going to. Alright, easy peasy, done. Now I'm going to set everything before I move forward, and I use two different setting products. Under my eyes, I'm using the Kat Von D. It's a brightening setting powder. I use the shade Petal because it's the lightest, and as you can tell, I'm very, very pale. But I literally am just going to like smush this in, and I'm using it under the eye, and then I'm going to set like any place that I want to be like a little bit brighter. I'm going to pack it on there too. And you definitely could use, like, if you, it's kind of designed like to bake, so if you want to like pack it on with like a beauty blender or, you know, whatever beauty sponge you prefer, you could definitely do that. If you prefer to use like a poof, you could use a poof. I use a poof for the rest of my face, but I feel like just under my eyes it could get a little weird. So again, anywhere I want to be just a smidge brighter, I'm going to pack the brightening powder on. And now that that's done, the other setting powder that I use, you won't be surprised to find out, is a Kat Von D powder too. This one's just her translucent setting powder. This is the one that I found works the best. It's, you know, very lightweight, and like
I know sometimes it can be hard to find like a setting powder that works with a variety of skin tones, and I will say that I know, you know, for, you know, fair people like me, you can basically put, you know, flour on your face and no one would know. Not that I'm suggesting don't put flour on your face. This is not literal baking. But like something like this, anybody really just like press it in and it works on a variety of skin tones, which I think is, you know, it really says something, because I know a lot of translucent powders on like people with darker complexions, it will look really like ashy. And I found that this really is, you know, neutral and translucent enough that it works for everybody I have ever seen use it. I mean, obviously, I've not seen every single person, and I'm sure that there is someone out there for whom it just hasn't worked. And that's cool. It's okay. Not everything works for everybody. Alright, we're done. I'm leaving it like this. No, I'm just kidding. We're not doing that. Not doing that. Now that it's set, I'm literally just going to take a gigantic fluffy brush. This one happens to actually be from Morphe. I got this in the subscription box, which has been like a godsend to me. I know some people like, you know, like I got rid of my Sephora collection, my Sephora play box, because I kind of kept getting like the same thing. But I feel like with brushes, like I am always going to need a foundation brush. That's just how it is. Especially, you know, because I don't just do my own makeup. You know, I do, you know, makeup for other people too. So it is important for me to have multiple brushes. And sometimes I'm just lazy and I want to have an extra, you know, contour brush so I don't have to wash my brushes, because, you know. Alright, so before I go any further, I'm going to put my brows on. I'm going to use Ka-Brow because it's what I have, you know, usually I use like Dip Brow or the Brow Definer from Anastasia Beverly Hills, but this is what I've got, so this is what we're going with. And like I have pretty thin brows, not by nature, by design, and I'm going to fill them in very, very heavily because I want them to be spooky. I want it to be very harsh. There's really nothing about this that I want to be natural other than like the finish of my foundation. I want to be like super flawless and just put together. I'm not going to overdraw my brows in any way, just because like some people look amazing with like nice full brows, but I just like, it's not my deal. But I will say, like, even though like I do a really heavy brow most of the time, I'm still going to use like small short strokes to fill them in, just because I feel like that's going to be like, whether you're trying to make it look and mimic little hairs to just fill them in a little bit more, or you're trying to just like have, you know, a solid, basically black brow like I'm doing now, you still want a level of precision. And this is what I found has worked best for me. Just because sometimes, like, especially if you're, like, not somebody that uses this all the time, you might find that if you do, like, a really long, you know, a long stroke across, like, your whole brow, you could end up, like, you know, south of the Mason-Dixon line down here somewhere or something, and most of the time that's not the look you're going for. And for those of you that do want like a more natural brow, try to follow like the natural hair growth. So like in the middle here, like they grow like upwards a little bit before they start to grow out. So just, you know, mimicking that will make it look more like it's your brow. I don't care, because that's just not my personal preference. So I'm just packing it on because that's what I do. And don't be afraid to experiment either. Like, for the longest time, I just did like, well, first of all, for the longest time when I got into makeup, I didn't fill my brows in at all. Even though that was like the thing, I was mortified. Like, I just couldn't, because I kept screwing up. So I just didn't do it. And I do have to say, like, I'm glad that I started, because even though, like, I did do, like, a really natural look at first, like, once I actually got used to doing it, and doing it, like, you know, having a good technique. I don't want to say right, because I think there are so many different ways and it's what's right for you. But once I had a good technique, I found that, like, I could breeze through it like it was nothing. The hardest part is just making them even. Honestly, like, once you get used to, like, putting them on, the hardest part is making them even. At least for me, because I'll get, like, hyper focused on, like, whichever brow I'm working on, and then I end up having to, like, go in and, like, clean one up, or, you know, whatever. Cool, so that's done. I am going to set them with a clear brow gel, just because I don't want, like, random hairs to stick up in the middle of the day. And this is just the Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's just a clear brow gel. They have, like, tinted brow gels, which are awesome to set your brows, but they're also really good for, like, days that you don't want to wear makeup, but you still want your brows to be fab. So you can just get, like, tinted brow gel applicable to you, and just toss that on. I know I don't really like to go out of the house without makeup anyway, but if I do go out without it, I usually will at least do my brows. So now that that is done, I'm just going to finish up my eyes, and I'm just going to take those same colors, and I'm going to smoke it out on the bottom lash line like I did on the top. So Doom will go right in the middle here. And then we're going to go in with Gloom on the outside. We will take Skull, of course, on the outside, and just blend away, because blending is your friend. And finally, I'm going to so my camera cut out. I don't know what it is about making this tutorial. Like, the universe is just like, no. But anyway, luckily the only thing that we lost was I just took Shaq's, that black color again, and just put it I just smoked out a little bit on the underside of here, and then packed on a little more Doom and Gloom just to even everything out. So we are almost done. We are going to put some black liner on here. I'm going to do a really nice sharp, like, kind of big-ish wing, and my go-to liner is either ink or tattoo from Kat Von D's line. I like ink a little bit more because there are more color options, but they're both fantastic. They're both really resilient, waterproof, and super easy to use. And for those of you that are intimidated by a wing, practice. Honestly, it just takes practice. Like, for me, the hardest part of doing a wing is the fact that I have hooded lids. So, like, if I'm not careful and I'm trying to have, like, you know, because sometimes, like, if you look really close, you can see that, like, when my eyes are open, like, it borders on, like, being lost in my crease in the corner. And, like, sometimes I just want, like, a huge wing and I don't care. But when I don't, like, it's really just important for me to do, like, that part of it with my eye open. Just because it makes it a lot easier. Like, today I'm not super worried about it because I want to look like I'm about to raise the dead. Because, you know, why not? And I am going to go, like, right in the middle and just bring it down a teeny bit, like, into a point. Not a lot. Just a little baby bit. A little baby. I always feel weird whenever I'm using liquid liner in like the inner corner of my eye. I'm not entirely sure why, but I do. This liner is like not behaving today. I say that, but it's really just because it's drying out and I'm stubborn and I'm like, no, I don't need to get rid of it. It's fine, guys. I'm in denial about needing new liner. It's fine. It's typical. It does have like a little thing that you can like to like re-jazz it, which is only going to work so many more times for me. Okay, cool. So now that took way longer than it should have, I'm just going to take black liner on my lower lash line, and I'm really going to like keep that tight. I don't want to like smoke it out a ton because I really only want like a little bit of black like outside of my waterline, and we really achieved that already with Shax. So I will say, like, for me, this is like definitely something that I would go to every day. But for most people, this is probably going to be like not. But so of all the pencil eyeliners that I've used, my top probably 3 is this guy, which is the highliner from Marc Jacobs, the Makeup Forever, the Aqua XL. That one is a fantastic waterproof liner also. And then the Urban Decay Perversion, like there's a ton of different lines, different colors in that line, but that is the black, which is of course the one with which I'm most familiar. It's just fantastic. They're all like great waterproof liners. So we're going to do bottom and top lashes with, I'm using Kat Von D's Immortal Lash because of course it's Kat Von D. But I will say that if you want a waterproof mascara, which I mean this one is, but if you want a different one, the Tarte Lights Camera Splashes is a really good waterproof one. Better than Sex, I actually really liked, but I do find that it gets mixed reviews. For some people it just doesn't work well, and that's cool. You know, everybody's different. It's whatever. But I like it. So we are going to do highlight contour real quick. I'm just going to take from the other Shade and Light palette, Subconscious. Just, you know, we're going to carve out my cheekbones a little and pretend like I'm thin. And I do kind of want it to be like a little bit dramatic. So we're going to try to make the face look sunken. So I'm going to kind of do like the whole perimeter. I'm going to focus mainly right here underneath my cheekbones. But I do want to look a little bit gaunt. A little under the chin, again, because we want to pretend that we're a skinny, creepy necromancer. A little on the side of the nose, because I feel like I have a wide nose. Alright, so that's cool. We're done with that. Now, this is going to be my second favorite part. This is, you know, for those of you unfamiliar, this is the Kat Von D Alchemist palette. So if we're going to be a holographic necromancer, it is only appropriate that we pack on some holographic everything. So I'm going to take blue sapphire and green emerald, and I'm going to like pack this on my cheeks. There will be no subtlety with my highlight today. I'm literally going to press it in. Just all the highlight. So regardless of whether you're doing like, you know, a creepy Queen of the Undead look, or just like an everyday contour highlight kind of thing, whenever you're doing any kind of, you know, thing along that line, you want to, like, whatever's lightest is going to pull forward, and whatever you make darker is going to recede. So that's just a little color theory 101 for those of you that care. So the final touch, the lippy. I am using Slayer from the Kat Von D Studded Kiss collection to start. And I will say, I don't typically wear like a traditional lipstick, but when I do, it's almost always from the Studded Kiss collection, just because I do find that they're pretty long wearing. The matte ones are very matte, and they're just, like, they're really comfortable. I usually will sacrifice comfort a little bit and be like, whatever, and wear the Everlasting collection, just because I feel like that, like, it does last a lot longer. It does feel drier, but it doesn't bother me. So over the lips, we are going to do Pink Opal, and we are going to take the Ultraviolet Amethyst, and we're going to layer those. So we're going to do the pink first. And I don't want to drag it because I don't want to muddy anything up. Fun fact, I got this palette as a gift, and just so you guys know, find yourself a spousal unit that pays attention to what makeup you want. Because for my birthday, and for Christmas, and for Valentine's Day, I have gotten makeup every single time. And I didn't have to pay for it. It's awesome. Alright, now we're taking Amethyst, and we're going to just pack that on over it. And since I already have a powder down, I am going to drag a little bit, just because I really want to try to blend those colors together.
Okay. Set this bad boy with, you guessed it, the Kat Von D Lock It Setting Spray. And we have fun on a bun. So again, guys, I apologize that we had to do this a second time, but I really do hope that you enjoyed the look. It was a lot of fun for me to make. And like I said, I did it at, you know, the request and suggestion of a very, very good friend, and I am thrilled that she loved it too. Definitely comment down below if you have, you know, like a fun look that you think we should do together. I already have a list started from the folks that I work with, so I'm really, really excited to do this kind of thing going forward. And I love a challenge, so let me know what you think. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you again for stopping by and watching. Have a great day.